Yeah. And what's paternity leave like over there for dads?
So I'm with a very large company, one of the bigger energy companies in Australia, and they do the maximum, so 12 weeks.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Full pay for dads.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
so
good. I mean,
3 months I got to take.
It's 2 weeks here.
Yeah. I'm incredibly fortunate. So you get to take that any time within the first 2 years of your child being born. So I took mine probably after the first 6 months.
Yeah.
Took mine and had essentially 3 months off work.
I mean, that it is good. I'd also argue it's probably not even enough. You know, there's a myth, isn't it? That well, I say it's a myth, but it's that the first few months are the most important time for the mother and child to bond. That's the narrative that you peddle. But what about the dad? When is it time for dad to bond as well? And it is also in that time. It's those first few months. You need that time to be able to connect and bond with your child. And I heard so many stories from dads where they'll say, I had one guy on the podcast where he said the first 3 or 4 months he just couldn't connect with the child. He saw the child as a burden, and change to his life. And maybe that comes down to actually not getting to spend any time with his child, because you get 2 weeks and then you're going straight back to work.
Yeah, well, definitely for so many people, again, and it's that conditioning, right? Men are supposed to work, right?
Yeah.
So then if society supports only, a measly 2 weeks off, then you're back to work. So it's like you're forced into that stereotypical role that you innately doesn't feel right to you, but it's forced upon you, and so you just have to go through the motions, and it's almost forcing disconnection from our children.
Yeah,
it's horrible, and I feel so grateful to be working for such a company that actually happily does the maximum we're allowed to in Australia, and they even have options to double that for half pay and so on. So it's incredible.
See, here they think they're being progressive by offering shared parental leave. So your wife will get 9 months off. I think she can take a maximum of 12. Actually, I think the first 9 you get a certain amount paid, and then you can take the rest off unpaid. But they have shared parental leave, so you could each take 6 months. But there's no man I know that was ever going to take 6 months off his wife to say, you go back to work now, I'm going to stay at home with the kid. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
So
unless you have the corporate mum who wants to do that, and that's great. But then there's that separation.
Yeah.
Where you're not bonding as a trio,
as a family, isn't it? Then it's the mum that's being left out. I think there's one country that get this right. I've done a bit of reading on this, and for me, Finland are the only country in the world that have this spot on. So they have every parent gets 7 months paid leave, because they ran this campaign a couple of years ago called Daddy Time, and the PR and the media was all around dad in a stereotype of a man, with a hard hat, high vis vest, pants pulled around his builder's arse, that sort of thing, pushing a pram, and it was this whole thing of daddy time. And actually, Finland is one of the only countries in the civilized world's the wrong word, but like modern
Western civilization.
One of the Western civilizations that fathers, on average, spend more time with their children than mothers. And it was all around this whole. It's only 7 minutes. It's not like loads more time. But they ran this whole campaign, and what they realised is that dads are just as important as mum, and especially in those first months with bonding with the children. That's where it all happens, that bonding time in those first few months. And they realised that, and that 7 months shared parental leave you can take. And they've also done it, so if it's a single mother or a single father, they get both 7 months, they get 14 months paid leave.
God, that's good. That's good. And that's just facilitating connection.
Yeah.
And that's what our kids need. You know, the amount of content that I listen to about Dr. Gabor Mate, if you've heard of him, he is absolutely incredible. You know, he's got a book, Hold On to Your Kids, and things like this, where he talks about that human connection with the children, what children need, how to get, you know, the stress that children have, and how we should be as parents and really connect. It's so important, and